All right, I've advanced along this trail. You can see that's the Trostle barn roof peeking up over the horizon there. Along here is about where Wilcox and Barksdale's main assault was happening. So the 21st Mississippi had become separated from Barksdale's main brigade, and that's why they were, I believe, moving south of here kind of on their own while the rest of Barksdale's brigade was advancing here. This is kind of through the Trostle thicket. And I believe just on the other side of this is where the 1st Minnesota ended up making their charge to try and halt Wilcox's brigade, which they essentially successfully did. So I'm not sure, you can see that's the Cemetery Ridge line over there, where you can see those monuments, and that's heading up towards the copse of trees and the angle. And then just peeking over the tree line there is the Pennsylvania Memorial. But it's possible that this thing here, little spire sticking up, that might be the 1st Minnesota monument there. If it is, it seems a little bit far away, because just based on the map that I'm looking at, where I am at the moment, with the Kadori barn up there, and then the Klingler farm here, and I believe that's the Scherfy farm there, with the peach orchard just along here. Sorry, I'm pointing. When I point and I'm looking at the actual horizon, I'm not looking at the camera, and they don't match up, so looks like I'm pointing at the sky. But the peach orchard is going to be right in there. So the 3rd Corps units are all at this point retreating back across this field. At one point, to try and stop Barksdale, Humphreys tried to organize one of his brigades to form a line across here to try and check the charge of Barksdale's Mississippians, but it didn't work. His flanks were still exposed because he had Barksdale coming from this direction, and then he had Wilcox coming from this direction and Lang coming in behind him. So it was just not a tenable position to stay in, and so his entire division essentially just retires to Cemetery Ridge, and so they're running back through this thicket here. And you had, basically, I think the 19th Maine was up dealing with the Floridians, and so the 19th Maine is going to be somewhere over there. 1st Minnesota somewhere on the other side, just of the thicket there, and then maybe it's I can't remember the artillery guy that was creating the battery of assembled artillery troops, but I think they're somewhere over there on that side of the thicket. And then Willard's brigade, the Harper's Ferry Cowards, will line up and redeem themselves by eventually countercharging against Barksdale's brigade, and end up kind of chasing them all the way back along here until they start getting hit by Confederate artillery from the peach orchard that has moved up in the wake of the collapse of the 3rd Corps. So this is terrain I have not actually been on at Gettysburg. I've walked the Emmitsburg Road line up there. There's a car moving along. You can see where Emmitsburg Road is, just over the horizon, or just at the horizon. But I haven't walked down here into the actual no man's land, if you will, between Cemetery Ridge and Emmitsburg Road at this southern portion. The Pickett's Charge part of this line is all up that direction, towards the Kadori barn, and this was all the 3rd Corps area here that I think didn't see as much action on the 3rd day. So